Hello and welcome to our Saturday stream. My name is Josh, and this is our image and art creation tutorials and overviews, as well as where we talk about all of the different Fantasy Grounds art-related news and all of the information that I have to share with you guys. So thanks everyone for joining me today. I very much appreciate it. And we'll jump right into it here. Today we're gonna be exploring more of the art tools that have just been kind of redesigned as far as like the painting tools go. All of that stuff. This month's releases for art packs. We do release at least 2 art packs every month. And this one, I believe that we're doing a Western theme art packs this month. And there's going to be 2 of those, one for exterior locations and one for interior locations. So that should be a pretty cool one. Something that will add to a lot of like the desert motifs. And all of these art packs, even though they tend to be very theme-based, you can certainly use them in any sort of scenario. But we tried to keep our art packs as broad as possible so that we can fill in all of those gaps for not just fantasy themed games, but for everything and how they all interact together and whatnot. So yeah, great. We can actually kind of look at them today as well, if that's something that you guys are interested in. We can also jump in and begin to build some more maps and talk about the new painting tools, because some of the ways that we're going to approach stuff is going to be changing based off of the way that the tool's functionality has really been set up. It's a much more robust system than it was previously. And so as that kind of moves forward, obviously there's going to be a lot of different ways that we kind of approach things, change things slightly from the way that we did them before. And there's going to be some more changes to them coming out in the short future here. Some more additional kind of ways to interact with the system, which is super exciting. So yeah, without further ado, let's just jump right into this stuff. I hope everyone's having a wonderful week, a great weekend, and enjoying playing all of these great games through Fantasy Grounds. The map creation system is really becoming something that is top notch. It's such a robust and very intuitive kind of system now, and I thoroughly encourage everyone to jump in and try making some maps here, because it's just so much fun. Well, let's have a look at some of the art packs that will be coming out this month. So we have Western Map Pack 1, and this is going to be for all of those exterior kind of locations. We'll start off with these brushes, and we have some nice brushes here for like doing like mine shafts and mine walls and whatnot, which could also be used for doing caves and anything along those lines. But lots of like cacti and different types of rocks, dynamite. So one of the things that with the different time frames by which a lot of these art packs are kind of created for. So this would be great for like Wild West games and anything in between, really. Anytime that you want to use something like that. So we have lots of cool items, like we get to make dynamite, and we always will do like the staples of like barrels and boxes and that kind of stuff. Those are kind of system agnostic. You can use them across the board. But we also have lots of different rock formations and supports and whatnot that we can put together inside of any of these underground locations, or even exterior as well. Lots of like desert grass, rock formations. We have like sacks and whatnot, things that you can kind of place around, and different dead tree elements, water towers, and so on and so forth. So yeah, lots of really fun stuff here. In addition, on the second one, if we jump in here, this is going to be more of the interior location. So lots of walls and lots of different types of items that might be found inside of a building or whatnot. So here we have like balconies, like a few different types here. Lots of boards, walls, and so on. So roof elements and the like. Lots of different fills now and floors and whatnot. So here we have different types of roofs and whatnot. Is it roofs or roofs? I think it's roofs, right? So, and we also have many different types of floors and so on. And in our decorations, again, we're going to have lots of different stuff that might be kind of used in such an environment. We even have like half doors and so on and so forth. And we gotta have it safe, right? We have nice safe images and whatnot, steeples and oh, roofs or roofs. But that's the question. Because it's hooves, right? You don't say hoofs. Who knows? Things always change. Things have changed so much since I was in school, as far as like pronunciations and whatnot. So language is constantly evolving, so I'm never sure anymore. And we also have lots of different types of signs. These are, very staple for. Thanks, Drake. And so, yeah, it's some really interesting stuff there. And once these are released, we'll dive in and create some really cool kind of Western areas. I'd love to do like an old Western town or something. Very fun stuff. Great. So, what should we be building today? Oh, and last week we did end a little bit abruptly, and I apologize for that. I did lose internet. One of the downsides of living in a rural area in the U.S. is sometimes the infrastructure of these things aren't quite as reliable as we'd like them to be. So I do apologize there. But we'll make up for some good time today. And jump right in here and start to build us a wonderful environment here. I think that last time we worked with the medieval machines, which came out this last month, and we built. Let's have a little look-see here. I believe that we. What are these? Let's just have a look. Oh yes, these are ones that we. This is one that were working on last week. Is actually what it was. I think the one the week before was um, the medieval machines, but we were talking about all of the different elements and whatnot. We actually built this couch out of just the texture itself. Working with the new system and doing lots of fun and inventive stuff there. And we can delete this one. And then the week before, we did the Gnome Tinkerer area, right? This is the one that was 2 weeks ago. Lots of great stuff. A building in a city that leads underground. What kind of building do you think it would be? What would be the underground part of the building? Are you thinking of like a residential area or a tavern? Are you thinking of like a medieval location, something like fantasy? oriented. We could definitely do a tavern fairly easily. Well, let's jump right in this here. Well, actually, I'll create a new record here. Well, why don't we save the Western for when those art packs actually get released, and then we'll kind of do something along those lines once as like a kind of um, demonstration of them. So why don't we do? We can certainly do either like a modern place or, um, but let's do a medieval one. I think that sounds pretty fun. I think that creating a tavern is always a great time. There's lots of one of the great things that I think about when we're creating these maps is that um, the the narrative element of the visual aspect of it is super fun. So if we're thinking about like the tavern, for example, right? So we have a pretty good understanding. We're going to do like this medieval tavern. It's a very classic kind of environment. What do you think? Is it going to be like a seedy place? Do you think not very well kept? All right, full evil. Um, do you think that is well kept and well lit? Is it like this dark and dingy place? What is the feel of the environment? And we can kind of create that in lots of different ways. So it's a great example of a way to uh, demonstrate like the usage. And what we can actually do is create a lot of overlay items that will help change the atmosphere as well as effects layers. So we'll just call this place Tavern, and I'm just going to start off. We can either do this in a couple of different ways. If we're going to focus mainly on the interior aspect of it, then I'm not going to create like a background and do all the other stuff. What I'll actually do is we'll just begin to build out the interior location and spend most of our time on that here. And so what we can do is, let me just close this down and I'll expand this out so we have a little bit better of a workspace. And I'm going to jump over to our grid and I'm just going to change this to 100 by 100 here. I didn't mean to turn that off. And then I'm just going to lower down our grid system here so we can still see it, but we want to make sure that it stays a little bit, it's not so prominent. Inside of our assets, what we can now do is we can start to search for different elements, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to do two different layers here. We'll do the first floor, which is going to be the primary location of the establishment itself. And then we'll do a basement that maybe leads off into an underground location. And rather than stacking these on top of each other, or not even initially, we can kind of stack them to make sure everything lines up properly. But we'll put them side to side. And that way we can kind of build out a lot of the different elements and we can just kind of move people in between. That's a possibility, Drake. So the question is, are there plans for skinned dice sets? And so that may be something that is in the works. So lots of cool features that will be coming out. Great. So let's begin. We're gonna create, and what we'll do is like a stone floor for the basement itself, and we'll do like a wooden floor, classic wooden floor for the upper establishment area. So let's do. I'm just gonna type in a floor, and this is gonna pull up all the different floor elements. And if I want to narrow this search down too, right, I can also type in wood. And this is going to bring up all the different wood floors that we have available to us. And so I think what we'll do is maybe we'll use this one or this one. Yeah, let's use like this one. We'll, especially because we can kind of keep it in a we could do it lighter too as well. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do something maybe along that one's from there, which I believe that this one is in the modern. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to a painting layer here, and I'm just going to switch into my fill. And what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to do this a couple of different ways here. Well, actually, let's just do it. I'm going to separate the two levels here of floor and um, walls to make it a little bit easier for us to interact with the two. And that way I can kind of place things underneath the walls but above the floor. And it's really easy to line everything up now. We have so much movement and whatnot, even after the fact. So I'm going to switch over to my rectangle tool. And we're going to turn the stroke off for right now. We want to have a nice kind of mitered corners, which should happen anyway. But when we get into our walls, we're going to want to be able to do that. Yeah, so this should work well. And so what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to drag out a certain section here. I'm going to hold down Control so it snaps to my grid. And you can see here we can make a pretty big kind of area here. And we don't have to worry too much about the shape that we're creating right now. We can change this after the fact. We can jump in here, switch over to our edit mode here, and I'm just going to hold down Control and drag that down so it kind of snaps to the grid. And let's go into our wood fill here, and I'm just going to enlarge this a little bit so it's a little bit larger boards here. Something like this. And even now, after the fact that we've placed it down, I can come in and change this, the color of this. We can make it a little bit more red or whatever we wish. But starting off with like a lighter floor here gives us a little bit more flexibility in what we do with our colors after the fact. And we can use these fill elements to create any of the different shapes and other aspects that we want to. So when we're creating our counters, we could even create our own tables and do all of that stuff without having to use preset images in the stamp mode. So we have a lot of flexibility now that wasn't really accessible in the same way before with these tools. So it's kind of this wonderful addition in the way that we interact with these fill and stroke features. So with our shape here, we can go back into these painting areas over here. And if I want to take a certain section away, or we can even, let's add in a rounded part as well. So I'm going to switch over to Add. And so this is going to, what I'm actually going to do, because I've changed the size of this, is I'm going to grab this little sample and I'm just going to do this. And this is going to match this up. And so holding down Control, I'm just going to snap to this grid, and I'm going to pull out a nice little rounded area over here. And we're going to add that right in. Now it should add together here. Let's just see what happens. Oh, there it goes. Somehow switched back to the overlap, but we've got it all set together now. And then if we switch over, we can see we have actually a couple of different ones, but we can fix that. So let's come in here and we can delete those. And I think what I'm actually going to do, let's get rid of this and let's do that one more time. Make sure that we have our add functionality here. Make sure that we have the same elements there. And what I'll do is I'm just going to grab from over here and just going to grab out this, and we should be able to get that to add together, but it doesn't seem to want to add together appropriately, but it's fine. We'll keep it as is. We can have two separate elements there. Question. Hey, Svenster. So the question is, I saw you turn the floor a couple of weeks ago. Yes. Can you show how to change the angle of the floor? So all you have to do is go into the edit. This only works with fill elements, right? So this is the actually the edit fill tab that we have now in the painting area. Once over in here, you can move this around. Whoops. I hit Control Z there too many times. But once in here, you can move this around. And you can also, if you see here, you can shift mouse wheel to rotate the fill. And so if I'm holding down Shift and using the mouse wheel, you can see I can rotate this to any direction that I wish. I can also change the size of it by holding down Control and using my mouse wheel. And then we can even fade in the edges too by holding down F and using my mouse wheel. All right, so let's add this back in here one more time, everyone. And I'm going to hold down Shift to make sure that it, Control and Shift to make sure it snaps to the grid and also makes a nice rounded kind of area there. And we can kind of line these up if we want to as well. Yeah, you're very welcome. And so what we can do here, we have a nice like shape. We can go back into our these elements, and we can go into subtraction mode. Let's say that we want to remove maybe a section over here. Maybe this will be our main entrance. We can kind of start to build out these areas into whatever we wish. We can even come in and do multiple different things. But holding down Control, we can add or remove any of these elements. And what we can do is once we have these in here, we can switch over to our edit mode here, and we can snap these to any grid system that we want to. Move these around. Say if we wanted this to be a little bit more wider here. Lots of cool kind of elements here. So why don't we, what we'll do is we'll make this the kitchen over in this area. This will be our big dining area. We'll have this our entrance. So we'll build out a nice, there'll be a wall across this way, and this will be this to the stairs that lead down into that area. Let's actually move this over here to something like that. We'll just have a little bit of a lip in through here. And now what we can do is we have this particular layer, and we'll call this one floor. And we can create a new painting layer, and this is going to be right on top. And what we can actually do is build out all of our wall system now. So what I'm going to actually type in is wall, and then we can type in, move this. I have quite a lot of assets here. So I'm going to type in brush. And so one of the things that is different about our brushes, maybe we'll do a brick. That sounds pretty good. I'll actually just type in brick as well. The brush will work with all of these systems because it is seamless from the top and bottom, right? In a vertical way, not in a horizontal way. So what we can do is turn off our fill, switch back over to our stroke, and we're going to grab one of these like brick walls. I'm thinking let's use this one. And I'm just going to drag and drop that right over in here. And you can see here's our wall system. And what I can actually do is work in exactly the same way as I was before. I'm going to start off with a normal overlap. And I'm going to build this out, and then I can do this in a couple of different ways here. But we can still use all of the addition, all of the subtraction, all of those things exactly the same way. So I'm going to start like here, and I'm just going to use my line tool here. And I'm going to begin to build this out here. And I'm actually going to just do this square. And we'll double click there. There's a little bit of a funkiness right there. And now what I can do is switch over to the my round, my ellipse tool. My brain's not working quite correctly here. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing I did before, right? We're going to go into our add. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down Control and Shift. And I'm just going to begin to, nope, not Alt, Shift. And I'm just going to add this in to that exact same location that I did before. And you can see that's going to build that wall exactly like the shape that I have here. Now, because this is on a separate layer, I can come in here and I can remove sections of this, just like we could before. But I can also build over the top of it, and I can do lots of other fun and interesting kind of interactions. So when I come in here and I can do my subtraction, and we can go here, I can actually come in and we could remove sections here. Should be able to here. Perhaps not. I think what we can actually do is, so for example, we can create a new element here. I think so. I've done this before. Let's try this. Let's try this again here. I'm gonna do something like this, and then switching over here, what we can actually do is actually delete these points and separate that. So it's going to interact with the system a lot more like the way that we do like our occluders, for example. I can switch back over to my line tool now, and we're going to change our end cap. Let's do just like a budding one here. And we'll build a wall coming off this way. And I think we'll do it to like here. Oh, I don't want to be in subtraction mode. I want to be in, I wonder if we can just add to this, maybe. We have some minor little bugs here. I wonder if it has to do with the type of, let's double click these and delete them. Let's, with the mitered on the single line, which it doesn't really need. And so here in this system, what we can actually do now, because I want to create a little separation between these two, but I think that this is too far over. So instead of having to redo all of that, I can actually just select these, hold down Control, move them over. I can now widen this up a little bit. And maybe we can switch back over and I'll build out a little corner here. And again, I can come back in and we can just grab this and snap to the grid. And I think let's move this right over to this edge here. I think we'll do it like this, and then I can just kind of slide it maybe something like here. Excellent. And we'll call this one walls. And now what I can do is I can build in between these, right? I can now create a new painting layer, and there we can put some like rugs and whatnot, and some additional kind of elements. And so as I progress here, and if I'm not specifically using one particular art package very often, I rarely jump into them anymore. You just use the search feature. So I can just type in rug, for example, and we're going to get all of the different rugs from all of the different art packs here. And I think that I'll grab some of these carpets. Let's grab maybe like a couple of these round ones. And here I'm just going to grab my stamp tool, jump right in here, and we'll do a nice round rug. We'll do some tables and whatnot around. And I can hold down R, G, and B, and we can change the color of these. And holding down Control, I can change the size, Shift, the rotation. So we'll put a couple of these around, and maybe we'll do like a fireplace over in this corner, and we can build out our bar from here. And so we'll have this nice little area over in here. And let's grab some of these other ones as well. I'll make this a little bit smaller. And maybe we'll have this as like our, well, let's actually make it a little bit more narrow. And have this like our welcome kind of wipe your feet rug as you come in. The other thing we can do is we're going to be making this place a little bit seedy, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to create that in a couple of different layers. So we can do like stains and spillage and garbage and lots of stuff like that. But we can do that all on a single layer. So you can kind of change. And one of the great things that we can do in this system, especially with all of the ability to turn these off dynamically, is use the same map that we create multiple times just by having these new layers that are kind of placed on top of them. So if you want to have like this nice airy kind of environment, or kind of like lighthearted and happy place, you can have it exactly the same layout and whatnot, just completely based off of a lot of the ambience that you create through lighting, effects layers, and other image layers that are kind of layered on top. Great, so let's close this out. And the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to keep this as like a lower floor area there. So we're just going to call this lower decor. And we'll create a new painting layer. We're going to put this one right in here. And this is going to be where most of our furniture and whatnot will be. So we can type in table, for example. And we're going to get a whole bunch of different types of tables. We'll grab some of these like nice medieval style tables here. And we could even have some that are like tipped over if we wanted to. And we have benches and stools and all of the great things that we can kind of use around here. And one of the great things that we can do in this system, I'm going to make these a little bit smaller. We'll do several of them around. We should probably, before we do our tables, actually, let's do our stools and chairs. So we'll grab some of these. We want something that's going to be kind of plain. So I guess we'll grab something like this and change its color here a little bit. So I'm going to make this, I'm actually going to open up my little tint here, and I'm going to make something that's a little bit closer to the floor. And you can see what that does is it actually adds the color on top, which enables us have a really quick and easy way for us to maintain a certain continuity between all of our different elements. So what we can do is start to place some of these around. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so it just kind of fits into a square here. And we're going to kind of rotate. So what we'll think is there'll be a round table kind of here, and I'm just going to be able to place some of these around. I'm going to do this a little off kilter here. We don't want everything to feel too planned out, or we can even have some chairs just kind of off to the side if we decide. Maybe a couple of smaller tables. And again, the way that this system is kind of set up now is we can move these around after the fact. We cannot rotate them because of the stamp tool after the fact, but we can kind of slide them in and out and underneath things and whatnot. So it's a great way. And we're going to be building a bar off of here, and we'll actually do some stools and stuff there. Maybe we'll do like a chair like here. And let's find a stool. Guess we'll do something like this. And again, we can grab this little color picker, do something like that. And you can see that's going to match this up pretty well. And again, I'm going to make this just a little bit smaller. Something like this. And we'll do a series of them down this way. And I'm going to rotate some of them. Something like that. And then we can look up our table, or we can actually even look up just furniture. And here we have, maybe we'll use something like this. This is from the Victorian map pack. This will give us a little bit more variance in here. And we can place a table like here. Let's do it a little bit smaller so we get some of that rug hanging out there. Maybe we'll do a different type of table there. We'll do something like this. Because these are all layered on top of each other, you can see here what we can do is we can move some of these around. We want these to be tucked in a little bit more. Lots of cool stuff, ways that we can kind of interact with all of these different elements. And we can let's grab some of these other elements as well. Switch back and maybe do something along this wall. We can do like a coat rack or something. And what we can actually do is, if we wanted to, really begin to fill out all of the different elements that we might think would be in a place like this. So maybe we'll grab like a hutch like this, and we can put this right up against this wall maybe. Because we're doing this underneath the wall, we can kind of move stuff up against it. So we might even want to tuck this in a little bit more. Great. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back into our wood. Not woof. And we have a new tag for fill elements. But I think what we can do is actually just use floor maybe. Again. And we can switch over. Let's use some of these other type of things here for our turn off our wall, switch back over to our fill functionality here. And we can use our rectangle. And what I'm actually going to do, let's create another painting layer that we can kind of put down here. And we can build out our counter here. We can start to build in some other stuff too. We'll do the kitchen here in a moment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over and I'm going to, I can use my shift now to rotate this. And move it around here a little bit. And you know what this needs? We should, let's do this again. Because what it needs is a stroke around it. So let's go back here and then we can go to our stroke and turn this on, but I'm going to turn it on to the this little like black element here. I'm going to line this up to be about the same as these other black lines here. Something along these lines. And we'll actually use this fill because I feel like that one's got a little bit too much adjustments that needs to be done there. And now I can kind of fill this out something like this. And I think what we'll do is we'll make sure we have our add done here, and we'll add in a little bit that kind of comes this way. We're going to adjust the size of all this. This is a little bit too much here. And we're going to need a little bit more size, and we're going to change some of this around a little bit here. And while we're at it, what we can do is we can come in and we can build out our counter. So maybe our counter in our kitchen little area will be something similar. And then maybe we'll do a little bit this way. And what I can do now is I can come in here and let's rotate this. Let's make this a bit bigger. I want the to be more something along these lines. And we can kind of grab this, move this over. We can actually grab all of this and kind of move it maybe back a little bit. Well, no, that's probably pretty good there, right? We can actually grab these and kind of just move them all out a little. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then we can, let's go in here and we'll do something similar. Let's move this in a little. Yeah, maybe we'll do something like that. Yeah, that should be pretty cool. And let's type in something like shelf. And we can grab some these shelving kind of elements. I think we'll go with something like this, and we'll put in some shelves here in the back. And we'll do that, yeah, on this one as well. So we should start to name these before we get too far going here. And this will be furniture. And I'm going to make this a little bit more narrow. Maybe not that much. Let's do like 0.75, yeah, because we're going to hide some of this in the wall here. And so we'll do like here. We can actually do a couple of layers of these, depending on what we want to do here and how much we want to add in. We're definitely going to need some shelves, and then we could do like another one a little bit, something like that. So we'll make it just a tad longer. And we should flip it as well, so we don't have so much of exactly the same striations and whatnot. And then we can put some inside of here as well. We want to do like a shelf here. Or maybe back this way. Well, let's wait. Let's concentrate out here, and then we'll jump in and start to do our kitchen area. So this is where I'll start to do all of my incidental kind of items, right? We're gonna do like cups and bottles. We can start to do. Let's add a coat rack. We'll put it over here. I should make some coats and things that we can kind of like hooks and things on the walls. Now what I'm going to do is we can start to as I said before, place all kinds of these different things around, and this is where I start to we have a bunch of these like pre-made groupings, so we can kind of just like place them here. And I can change the color here a little bit. Let's get rid of some of that green. A little bit of variation there. Let's put down a tray. Maybe we'll do something like this. Oh, we're going to have to do it on this layer. And we'll do some wooden trays as well. Now we'll place some bottles on that. And we can do a couple like knocked over. We got broken glass. You can do some cups here. We should definitely do some mugs, right? Cool. And one of the things that we can actually do with the effects layers is we can do some color variations and make some of these feel as though that there's liquid inside of them. We can do lots of different stuff. Depends on how much you really want to deep dive into the your creation process here. We can do some food stuff. Let's do one like stuck in the table. I'm thinking this one. I think what we'll do is if we go into coast, not this one, the other one. I think we can use this to do like some nice variations on the floor itself. Maybe we'll do like a large, but I'll lower down the opacity there a bit, just to get some nice color variations there. Very cool. We can add in some shadow content now. This is starting to shape up pretty quickly here. And we'll jump in. We'll do both. Well, we can do a couple of different things, but we'll do both effects layer shadows and then also some painted in ones. So I'm going to grab this this stamp here. And again, on this lower area, I'm just going to hold down R, G, and B, and I'm just going to make that dark. I'm going to add a little bit of blue back into it. And then we're going to lower down the opacity quite a lot here. And I'm just going to do some like coming out from underneath some of this furniture here. I think I accidentally just stuck one there, but that's okay. Create a little bit of separation between these layers. You can see that that just helps set that apart. It makes it feel as though it is indeed casting a little bit of an ambient shadow down there. Do some for these. And this guy. And then what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to change this. We'll do something like 8. I'm just going to do along the back of this. We'll do it even further. Maybe we'll do like 10. Do some of these as well. And a little bit underneath our coat rack over here. Very cool. Now we can jump in and do another layer of this, but I think what we'll do is we'll jump all the way up here and let's create an effects layer. And we're going to go down to our adjust colors, and I'm just going to lower the red and the green down. We'll do something like 45 and 45. And then we'll bring this one down to, let's do that one 45, just darken this whole area up. And then we're going to enable a mask. We have reveal area on, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to do a little bit additional kind of shadowy stuff with this. And we're going to blur that out a bit. And with this we can actually come in and do a little bit variance off of some of this stuff. We might even want to do so this is kind of how we start to make the place, give it its feeling, right? Like the way that it actually feels. Back that off a little bit off of the edge. Starting to feel a little bit like grungy and dirty. We're placing all this stuff around. We want to do some like off of these walls. Back that off a little bit. We can blur this out a little bit more too, so we get a little bit of that more gradual edge there. Do some off of here. Maybe we'll just back that a little bit too. And we can do some in here. Maybe this whole area in here is going to be a little bit darker. think what I'll do is let's create. We can go into this particular layer here and switch back into our stamp here, and we'll make this smaller. And we can do a little bit on these things. We can make this kind of oblong here to give it that feeling that that knife is sticking up a little. Maybe just a little bit on some of this stuff. We want to make sure that we keep all of this stuff similarly. That one's a little bit out there, but I'm going to actually just grab that in a second and move it back. Maybe we'll put it over there. Yeah, that's really starting to come together now. So let's jump into our kitchen area over here. And we'll type in stove. Oh, well, we want to get out of that. Not stover. Actually, let's use this one. But I'm going to build some stovepipe stuff off of it too. And we actually have, I think if we go into I think that there is a, yeah, oven. And again, we're going to do this underneath the wall here a little bit. Place it in something like this. And I think we do have piles of wood here. So we'll put something like that down. And I think we do have some food items as well. Yeah, we have like bread and And I think that there are different vegetables and whatnot. They might be under like actual names and whatnot. Let's see, are they in? Let's see, are they in here? Yeah, like apples and stuff. Oh, let's do like we'll do like a bowl and then we'll fill it full of like fruit and stuff. And then we can grab some of these different angled ones. And we have some of these kind of utensils that we can kind of place around. What other items might we have in here, right? We gotta go all the way up. Let's see here. We should do like a cutting board, right? Yeah, cutting board, right? Exactly. I think we'll make it a little bit darker. Maybe we'll even something like this. Yeah, we should definitely have another table in here. We'll do something a little bit maybe like this. Oh yeah, we gotta do like kegs and stuff, right? So we got some nice kegs. And we can start to place around, because we're gonna have these. Where do we want to place this? I think we'll go with maybe something like this. Definitely should be one on the bar itself. Oh, we should do like some posts and lanterns and things as well. So here this is one of the great things about this new system, right? Let's say I decide I'm going to be placing a keg on here, and I've already done all of these elements. All I have to do now is come back in here, and I can just grab these. Let's just grab like all of these elements here, and we're just going to move them. Now I can switch back over here. We can drop a keg right here. Let's make it a little bit smaller. Actually, I'm gonna remove that. Let's change its color here a little bit. Maybe we'll make it a little bit lighter. Maybe we'll do it a little bit smaller, but we'll do a couple of them. Maybe we'll do one like this, and then let's flip it. And then we can add in our little colors and things on top of it. I mean, not our colors, our shadows and things. So we switch back over to here. We can add some nice little additional shadow stuff there. And then we can paint some in as well. And we can start to place some other like barrels around. Let's grab and we have some nice little groupings here. I think we'll do this like kind of underneath the counter there. Excellent. I think we'll actually do a little bit like here, just a little bit off on these, something like that. Very cool. All right, well, we got a really good start here. I'm going to take a short break. I'm going to refresh my beverages and stretch my legs for a moment. And so please hang out with me. We're going to continue on this journey. We're going to build this, we're going to finish this upper level up, and then we're going to dive in and start to create the basement area as well. So that should be super fun. So yeah, just hang out for a moment and I will be right back. All right, and we're back. Thanks everyone for hanging out while I got my beverages squared away and got up and walked around for a moment. All right, so let's get right back into this. I'm actually going to create another effects layer, and it's something that I use oftentimes. Um, that was interesting. Did you see that wall just move? Let me jump over in here and just check that out real quickly. It seems to still be there. I wonder if I close it down and reopen it, if it will come back. We'll check it out in a second here. But one of the ones that I use oftentimes are the time of day. And what I do is I use this to further create a little bit more of consistency through the image itself, a little bit more color, um, cohesion, and we can adjust the amount that this kind of interacts here. And you can see that that adds a lot of universal kind of utility to unifying our palettes. And we can also use it to increase the contrast between the different elements as well. As you can see here, we could just use it in a very static kind of fashion. The more that we move to the right, the less contrast we're going to have. The more we move it to the left, the more. So I kind of like it somewhere in the middle usually, somewhere in here. And again, we can adjust that amount to kind of bring it all together here. Something like this, I think. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to grab this. I'm going to drop it down into my tab here. I'm going to close it and reopen it. And you can see that there seems to be, that wall seems to be missing there now. But I have a feeling that once I restart it, it'll come back. The only other thing that I can think that's possible that has happened is that it's, because when we look at it here, I'm sure it's just a visual display problem. Great. So let's add in. We can do a couple of doors, I think, and then we'll build our little stairway. I think that this is in a pretty good spot now. Well, let's actually add in before we go too far. We could add in like some posts and whatnot, and we can do some lanterns hanging around and whatnot. So what I would do, the way that I usually handle windows is just through the line of sight. If you wanted to actually do like a visual representation of a window, there's a whole bunch of different ways that you could do it depending on what you want to do for windows. But yeah, I usually do it just from line of sight, and I just build it into the actual LOS system. But here we have a whole bunch of different types of like posts, for example. And I want to put some like on the bar, so I think I'm going to use something like this. So we can switch over to our, I'm actually going to put these all on the wall layer, I think. And we can do something like this. Oh, I didn't want to drag and drop it in there. Let's delete that. And I'm going to make this a bit smaller, and we'll just put one like here. Oh, there, it came back. A little bit of patience is all we needed. I figured it was just a display bug, so nothing too major there. And this will be where certain elements would be some nice little I think what we'll do is we'll switch over to here, and I'm just going to grab this and I'm just going to move it a little bit away from that. We might even want to bring it over a little bit. Oh, we don't want to move this one. I'm going to snap that back to where it was. I think that if we just grab these, we can kind of move it over a little. Yeah, it's very suspicious indeed. I think we can grab something like these little lantern guys. Maybe place them around. I think it would be cool to have like maybe a couple of lanterns that kind of come out. I think we'll just type in, oh, that's not how you spell it. Lantern. We have some nice little like decorative lantern elements. And again, I'm just going to drop it in here. We can rotate it, and I'm going to shrink this down quite a lot. We're going to go underneath here, so I'm going to have it kind of like stuck like this. Or we could even do something a little bit more plain, like that. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. And we can place these around. These will be like these small little, we could do some larger ones as well. That one's probably a little bit too big, huh? I think what we can actually do is maybe shorten this down. Maybe we'll actually do it like that size there as well. Change that in a minute. Let's do one here. One behind the bar. And we can do a couple in the kitchen. Perfect. Now we have our little bits of light source that we can kind of add around. Now let's type in stair. And we can find something that's going to work good for us for our little steps. Maybe something like this. This one's probably good. We'll do wooden stairs that are going down into the basement. Yeah, I think something like this will work well. Not that, this. Oh, okay, so there's a question here. Um, when you first start a map, why do you make it 100 by 100? Well, I do it. I make all my art packs so that the grid would be 100 by 100. And the reason why I do that is just for easy math. Um, and so the actual grid system itself it really doesn't matter as far as like the grid you do. But I do it so that there's a much more natural kind of way for the transition of the images. So if I were to drag and drop something over, it'll be much truer to the original concept. Then if I were to change the grid size, it would readjust it. Fantasy Grounds is smart enough to know what the image should be at, like is square wise. So this one right here, for example, if we were to switch over to here, you can see that this is actually 6 by 6. So if I were to change the grid size and dragged it over, it would still be 6 by 6, but it's just a much more truer representation. It needs no adjustment. All right, so let's make this an appropriate size here. I'm going to make this something like this. I want the actual dimensions of this to kind of fit with the square grid, so it's going to work a little bit better. And I'm actually going to put this on the wall level. Well, let's do it on the lower decor level, actually. What we're actually going to do is we're going to create our own little entryway down into the darkness here. And we want this to be something that's going to be like an easy kind of transition. So what we'll do is I'm going to hide some of this because it's going to kind of go underneath. Well, yeah. Why don't we do that? How should we do this here? Let's have a little thought process. You want it to be a kind of a natural transition. It should probably be maybe what we'll do is we'll do it this way. So we'll come in here and we can have this kind of opening into the basement. We might even want to do, oh, we want this to be like 2, and maybe we want this to be a little bit wider. Maybe something like that. Yeah. And what we can do is make this into some sort of like little entrance area down into the lower bits. And what I'll do is I'll come into my adjust colors. And we'll go into our effects tab here, and we will hide some area in here. We'll get this to be something like that. And we'll just kind of bring this back down here. Yeah, that works pretty well, just like that. And then we can grab, we can make this into like a little storage area as well. So we can grab some of these sacks, maybe something like this. I'm going to make like a little pile of them. And we can type in crate. Nice. So what we can actually do from this is we can either we have a couple of different avenues by which we want to go and start to build in our lower level here. What we can actually do is either create right on the top of this and kind of line this up, especially if we want to keep the same footprint. But if we don't care about that, maybe we're just going to do like a smaller little entry area and then like a type of wine cellar. So do you think we should have a stone floor or do you think we should have a dirt floor in this lower entry, lower um, yeah, we should do dirt with like a stone wall around it. All right, let's do it. So what we'll actually do, here's a nice little like dirt fill. This is from the Jungle Map Pack 2, but we have some other options as well. I think that a lot of them are a lot of the dirt ones are ground actually, but I think we'll grab this one. This one will work pretty well for us. And what we can also do is stone wall brush. We'll find something that is going to be like field stone, I think. Something like this or this will actually work pretty well. And so what I'll do is I'll switch over and we'll just grab and drop that down to something like that. We're going to do both of these in the same kind of go here. I'm going to do rounded corners and I'm just going to drag out a nice little like square, something like this, rectangle. Here we have this nice instant kind of creation of this area. I don't want to do it on that layer. Why did I do it on that layer? Let's grab this and delete it. Let's go on to floor. Let's do it again. I'm going to hold down control and just drag out our little basement here. And I can switch over and I think what we're going to do is make this a little bit bigger. And we might even want to make it a little bit darker. Maybe something like this. And what we can do is I'm just going to I think in the Siege art package, there's a nice little texture that I can kind of grab here. It's scorched earth, and we'll switch over and we'll just grab this, drop it right in here. And this will help give us a little bit of a variant here. Break up some of that that stuff. I think we'll move this over just a little bit. And again, we can go into our adjust colors and go into our effects here. What I'm actually going to do is I want a little bit of a shadow from all of the walls down here. So I'm going to go into reveal area, and I'm just going to reveal this entire area. And then I'm just going to hide the middle here. And that's going to create this nice little like ambient occlusion off of the edges of this. Maybe we'll just back that off a little bit. Something like this. Here, back that off just a little. And now what I'm actually going to do is I can come into my painting area over here, my stamp, and I think it's on our lower. So what I can do is I can just grab my stamp tool and I can grab this, and I should be able to, it's going to grab that image and all of its adjustments that we did. And so what we can say is, let's do our stairway coming down right here. And here we'll have like a perfect kind of match to what we kind of put over here, kind of coming down this way. And I might want to move this over a little bit up against this wall here. We might even want to, here, let's make this a little bit more narrow for this one. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to uncheck this, and let's make this like 3.5. And we'll put it like right here. Not quite there, but something like that. And that's going to match up pretty well. And what I'll do is we'll build a little framework like right here. We'll do like a little board coming off or whatnot. We'll do like a little under area on this side. And then we can place a bunch of things around, and we can create our environment here. Maybe have a break in one of the walls and have it like spread out, or maybe there's like a hidden entrance or something along those lines. Hey Jiminy, welcome. So what kind of things do you think we should make it like a like a wine cellar? Or is it just like a general storage area down here? What do you think would be down here? You guys have any ideas? Oh, we should have a grate on the floor? We can definitely do a grate. Maybe something like this. Should we do like a little like, what's the grate going to be over? Is it going to be like an area for summoning bad things? Yeah, I love doing places like that, like magic circles and whatnot. Yeah, we can definitely do like some storage down here and whatnot. Should we do like just a small little grate? Maybe like a little drainage hole or something. Oh yeah, like a rat hole. Sure. All right. Well, let's start building out some of these things. We'll type in keg and we'll grab some of these ones. And I'm going to make these a bit smaller. We can do like a line of them against this wall here. We can do like a wine rack here. And we can grab some of these barrels as well. Do like a little stack over here. And we can add some more of these. Well, let's do maybe like this one. And grab this one. And then we'll grab this little guy here. We'll add in some, again, some lower kind of shadows underneath them. And this is just to help like separate from what is on the ground and what is above. And we can go up here as well, and we can do a little bit of additional kind of shadowy stuff, just to give them a little bit more shape. And we can be pretty liberal about this down here, especially because we want it to feel like it's dark little area. I think I'll grab like a board. And I think that we did that on this level, so I'm going to do it right underneath it. I want it to be like here. And what I'll do is just move this back a little bit, put it more in the corner. Excellent. So what we can do is we can create maybe behind some of this stuff, or maybe what we'll do is do it like here. We'll create like a nice little entryway into like some other like secret kind of location. But I think what I'm actually going to do is up here, I want to um, add a little bit more contrast here. Oh yeah, yeah, that's a great pun there, Spencer. So we can let's bring that in a little bit. We can actually do it a couple of different ways here. So right now we're using this to kind of add a little bit more contrast to everything. Um, I'm actually going to duplicate it, and I'm going to come over in here, and we're going to hide our cellar area because I think that this is pretty good over here. And I think what we can do is just include this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this down just to give it a little bit more contrast. I think that that just kind of brings things together a little bit more. Maybe back that off a little bit. So what kind of secret door do you think we should make over here? Is this going to be leading into maybe a maybe like a thieves guild hideout? What do you think is hidden back there? And let's actually, while we're thinking about what's going to be added in there, let's do our switch to my walls here, and I'm gonna actually I'm gonna use my floor here to generate my line of sight. A summoning chamber. And what we can do is we're gonna just remove this. Nope. We're gonna delete it. And then we're going to, I'm gonna grab these, and we're gonna delete those. And then I'm just gonna connect these. And let's delete those. So there's all of our line of sight instantly kind of created there. We can add in our doors and whatnot later, but I want to do let's do some additional ones here. These. Add in our lighting. And it's what we can do with our lighting system here. Because we're not going to have any in the basement, right? You'll have to take your own light down there. Or maybe we'll do some very subtle, like ambient lights. But I'm going to come in here. I can select all of these at once, and then I can adjust them because we're going to keep them all the same, right? These are a bit too big, so I'm going to bring this down to like 2. We'll bring. Well, let's see how this interacts here. I'm going to change this fall off to 50. We'll add a little bit of flicker to it. Maybe we'll bring our dim down, or we'll change this fall off a bit here. Let's put it back to 50. And we might even want to do it just dim light. And what we can do is let's bring our dim down. Let's do our bright at like 2. Maybe we'll bring that down to 4. Yeah, and then we can start to kind of play around with this stuff. I like having a little bit of variations here. Oh yeah, like a portal that goes into some other realm. I think what we should also do is change the color of these. Let's make them a little bit more like orangey. And then certain ones, like this one, we can make this one a little bit bigger maybe. increase this dim to something like 6 or... Oh, maybe what we'll do is we'll bring that back down, but we'll increase that. Yeah, something like that. And then we can make this one smaller. And we'll change the flicker amounts so it's not all even like that. And we'll have to do maybe, here, let me grab this hexadecimal code, hit Control C. We'll jump over into this one and let's I think what we'll do is we'll add one in the middle here. Except we'll change some of its parameters here a little bit. I think this one needs to be a little bit smaller. Yeah, I think that feels pretty good. Yeah, I do the same thing, Jimmy. Yep. I don't like it when they're all, it's too, too rigid in that. But yeah, that looks pretty good. Got some nice little, feels pretty good in there. So we can turn that off for right now, and we can jump into creating some of this other stuff. We got about, I'm going to go till 5:30 today, my time, so we got about 15 more minutes. So we can start to build out some of this other stuff here. And we'll finish it up next week. But we'll create a little portal here, and we can kind of create our own little world out here. So we're going to go into like the Fey world or something. So we'll have like maybe like a secret door, and we'll do like a tunnel, and at the end of the tunnel we'll create a cool little portal. We'll get that done today, and then next week we'll create where it takes us. How's that? So what I would actually do, depending on how we want to do this, right, we can just add in a toggleable wall right there without having to do any sort of graphic involvement. But I'm going to make this seem like much more natural. And so what we'll do is I'm going to look for more like a natural kind of cave, and we can kind of create maybe something cool at the end of it. So let's get, we can grab the same floor again. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go back into my paint tab here. And on my floor area here, I'm going to grab this guy and just click that. Nope, we don't want to do that. There it is. And now I'm going to grab this and erase it. And so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to switch out, I'm going to keep the same floor, but I'm going to switch out my stroke here. So we can go to the underground art pack, I believe. underground map pack 2, and we'll grab one of these wall brushes. And I'm going to make this quite a bit smaller here. And I think what we can do, we want to make sure we have a rounded element there. I'm just going to drag out a little section here. That's going the opposite direction that I want it to. I'm just going to hit Control Z, and then I'm just going to flip it. Actually, you know what we should do is probably separate this out a little bit, so we don't do it this way. Yeah, let's do that. So what I'll do is I'll turn this off for right now, and we'll drag this out. And I'm going to switch to add. And let's make a little bit of a room down here, actually. And now we can turn our stroke back on, but now I'm going to turn off my fill. And I'm just going to hold down Control and make sure that I have my line tool selected. And maybe we should do this on the wall section here. So I can switch in here and we can just kind of line this up a little bit better. We can do a little bit better of a transform from one scenario to the next in here anyway. I'm actually going to change this up a little bit. I want this to feel a little bit less like this. And so what we can actually do is if we, I think we'll move these around, maybe something like that. And then we can go to our floor and we can do the same thing. And we can go to our wall here and kind of do something a little bit different. Maybe we'll widen that out a little bit. Like that. Cool. Now we can go into, I think we'll actually do it a little bit higher up here so we can kind of overlay on top of this. We'll make it like a cool portal. So if we're going to go into like the Fey Wilds, what would we kind of do? I'd do like branches and things and make a neat kind of thing there. So if we were to type in, so I have a bunch of these dead trees that I just made. I think this is a perfect opportunity for us to kind of use them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab maybe something like this. We'll switch over to our stamp tool. I'm going to use this as like my base here. And yeah, we can add in like other plants and stuff, but I think that if it was like this wooden kind of thing that came up and around, we'll kind of build it out here. So we'll create like a little portal shape here in the middle. And what I'll actually do is, oh, you know what we could do? We could actually use like, we'll come back to that in a second, because I'm going to do something on top of that now. But I'm going to go into the 2019 art pack, and I'm going to grab one of these water tiles. We're going to go into our fill, turn our stroke off, and do like an ellipse here. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to change this to 25 for right now. All of the way that it sets up how round something is and all of those kind of parameters are based off of the grid system. So to get around having a less accurate ellipse, you just change the grid size. And so what I'm actually going to do here is do something like this. Well, we can make it a bit bigger here, something like that. And then I can come in and we can move this over. Nope, I don't want to grab that one. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to grab this and move it to the side and then do all my adjustments easier. I'm going to make like a weird kind of little shape here. And then I'm going to fade out the edges. And what we can do is something like this and bring this down. Move this up. You know what? We should do this on its own layer actually, so that we can do this a little bit easier here. I'm going to grab something like this because now we can go into this tab and we can adjust it here. If I can grab this widget. Let's switch this back now. Not to that. 100. None of these seem to be interactable at the moment. There we go. Right? Yeah. Because I'm just going to shrink it down. And we will change it to something like this. Kind of put it like there. And now we can switch over to our tab here. And what we can do is add in like effects layers over this. It's going to be cool. And we can let's switch over into here and fade out the edges here a little bit. And we can duplicate this. Let's go here and we can use that to create a new effects layer. We'll do that one with like the ocean. Well, maybe we'll do it. Let's just do the water one. Yeah, that's better. And we're going to actually drop this down here. And what we can do is create a new painting layer. That's going to go above that one. And now what we can do is grab some of these dead trees, like this. Switch back over into our painting tab. Let's grab maybe something like this. And now we can go in underneath as well. So let's go down to like lower. And we can bring this something around like that. And then we can type in plant. And we can grab some of this kind of stuff too, right? We can start to decorate it around. We might even want to do like like vines. What we can do is bring this in, and we can do some above and below. And I'm going to drop down the opacity on it a little bit so we can come like this. And let's go underneath as well. We make it a little bit bigger. Let's actually try, let's go back to plants. And we can grab some of this kind of stuff too. But actually, I'm thinking that there are these ones from the abandoned art package that we'll grab. Yeah, let's just go there. There's some ones that will have like these roots that kind of like stick out from the sides. We want to do like some flowers and stuff as well. That one, that's what I want. Let's do it here. Grab that color. We're going to do some on the sides of the walls here, I think. Hmm. Interesting. Looks like we got another little bit of a glitch there, but I'm sure it'll come back. I'm going to lower down the opacity there. And yeah, let's see if we close that and it comes back. Nope, not yet. We'll probably have to restart. But as you can see, they're all still here. Yeah. So and then we will next week we'll take it to the next level. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks so much. Have a nice day as well. All right, guys. So we're gonna call it there for today. Do you guys have any other questions before I finish it up here? Is there anything else that I can help explain or? Yeah, you're very welcome. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. All right, well, we'll be back next week. I stream every Saturday from 3 p.m. till just about 6 usually. So we will see you guys all next time. Thanks, everyone.